It's no secret that, as gamers, we struggle with things from time to time. Whether it's not getting what we want...
Mozambique. It's a Mozambique weapon skin. I got a Mozambique weapon skin, dude.
A lack of support...
Wait, why the f*** are you baiting me, Raze? What are you doing?
Or never-ending grappling matches with our own personal demons.
Yeah, I'm feeding! This game!
And for those who picked streaming as their career path, those struggles are often magnified tenfold. The long hours where you constantly have to be on, the persistent fear of losing viewership based on which game you're playing, and the pressure of the spotlight all take their toll.
Oh my god! I'm gonna get
But that's where Alok Kanojia, better known as Dr. K, comes in. He's an American psychiatrist who's made it his life's mission to help everyone's favorite Twitch personalities confront their mental health in a way that's not so conventional.
The ultimate way to come up for air is a dick joke. That's
Yeah. To tie a dick joke into my dad's death would be phenomenal.
yeah.
I'll come up with one. Rigor mortis, who knows?
There it is.
So what inspired a video game addicted monk to dedicate himself to helping those whose lives unfold in front of a webcam overcome their challenges? How does he find people willing to lay bare their darkest, deepest secrets in front of thousands of viewers? And how has Dr. K himself been able to adapt to becoming Twitch's mental health champion?
So here's the problem. You need to stop living your life based on my validation. You have to decide for yourself. Right? That's the fundamental problem.
What does that mean?
Hey guys, so before we dive into Dr. K's story, in place of a sub-throw, I just wanted to warn you that in this video, we will be touching explicitly on the topic of suicide and suicidal ideation. And to tell you that if you, or anyone you care about, is dealing with thoughts of self-harm, we've provided links in the description that we hope can be of help. Okay, so whether you know much about therapy or are based enough to actively engage in it, most people generally view it as an intensely private experience.
Let's get back to that gabagool.
All this from a slice of gabagool.
But thanks to the ever-extending reach of the internet, instead of having to unload your insecurities in the all-too stereotypical setting that is a therapist's couch, you can now connect with a trained professional from the comfort of your own home. Which is obviously great for those of us whose lives are shielded from the prying eyes of strangers. But what about the people who spend all their time connecting with others online? Those who've made a career out of sharing, and sometimes oversharing themselves with others through live streaming.
When's the last time you've had diarrhea?
I'm not gonna tell you.
I could tell you.
Tell me.
This morning after a huge protein shake and Mexican food last night.
Could a person-to-person exchange really do the trick for someone used to getting feedback from hundreds or even thousands of people all at once? Well, that's where Dr. K comes into the picture. But in order to understand how he became gaming's poster boy for mental health awareness, we need to go back to the good doctor's youth.
I'm the son of, two Indian immigrants and grew up, kind of in East Texas where I was smaller and scrawnier than most of my classmates. And so kind of fell into gaming because that was where I could compete.
Unfortunately, what started as a way to cope with being daintier than his peers had devolved into a full-blown addiction by the time our boy was entering his college years. An addiction that almost resulted in him flunking out entirely.
And then I'd get into these cycles of just like gaming all day and then like skipping class, and then it would get worse, and then I was behind, and then like I didn't know how to catch up, and it just became this vicious cycle where, I was basically failing out. So I loved that in India I discovered a way to understand myself, to understand where my desires came from, kind of why I did the things that I did, and decided to become a monk.
Yeah, you heard that right. Dr. K abandoned his gaming rig and spent most of his 20s training to one day become a monk. Although, by his own admission, his initial reason for choosing the monastic life wasn't exactly healthy.
You know, you get 0% rejected from jobs if you apply to 0 jobs. 0 rejection. Safety. And so the way that I did that in my mind was like I was going to take all those feelings of I'm a piece of shit, and then I said, I'm better. Oh, I'm going to be a monk. I'm going to give up. It's not incel, it's like voluntary celibacy.
But after dedicating so much time to ditching the material plane, Dr. K's life took a wild turn. He fell in love with his eventual wife, Kruti, and after some serious soul-searching, chose medical school as his way forward. He was accepted into Harvard's psychiatry program, and after completing his education, decided to redirect his attention to the issue that kicked off his own journey.
You know, no one was really talking to gamers. No one was really seemed to care about gamers from a mental health standpoint. And these are my people. They're the same struggles that I had growing up. I saw a piece of myself in other people, and I know that like when I was failing out of college, there really wasn't anyone to help me. And so that's what we're trying to change with Healthy Gamer.
For those of you who don't know, healthygamer.gg is an online mental health resource for gamers seeking help that Dr. K developed and officially launched with his wife in 2019. Initially, his content focused on smaller, candid therapy sessions with friends who were struggling in their day-to-day lives. But eventually, as his name became more widely known, Dr. K's services began to attract streamers specifically. Later that year, Dr. K began broadcasting his Healthy Gamer sessions live on Twitch. And while his traffic was slow initially, those early discussions proved to be a valuable learning experience for everyone involved.
Can I just say as well, actually, the last bit of this conversation has been something that I wanted to avoid bringing up because it makes me kind of scared. So the fact that you got it out of me, normally I probably would have just tried to veer off and talk about something else or cut the conversation short, but I mean, I figured it'd be better for myself, my mental state, the stream as well maybe, to discuss it and kind of learn to deal with it, I guess.
And I think a lot of streamers and content creators are in a unique position to sort of share something publicly using a platform that allows them to connect with a lot of people. I do think it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because showing who you are on stream, some people will resonate with positively, but it can also open you up to toxicity.
If you guys keep talking shit about any of my friends, I will disable chat, and I don't care. Having a chat room isn't worth it if it's gonna be garbage.
On top of his live one-on-ones, Dr. K continued to make content focused on the issues that gaming personalities in particular struggle with, from healthy living practices to building social circles offline. But it was after he streamed several eye-opening sessions on depression and suicidal thoughts with beloved Twitch streamer Byron Reckful Bernstein that people really began to realize that what you saw on stream wasn't always the full story.
Oh man. When I was in high school or 20 or something, I didn't imagine that when I'm 30, I'll be a person who's alone this often. I didn't think that would happen.
It seemed like a lot of what Reckful had to say resonated with the internet generation in a way that had not only never been said before, but quite literally broadcasted. And the open and honest exchange really shone a light on the importance of the conversations Dr. K was hosting. But the thing about therapy is that it isn't a quick fix, and there are no guarantees that come with it. And in spite of the headway that Reckful appeared to be making, in the summer of 2020, tragically, he took his own life, to the shock and dismay of the entire gaming community, including Dr. K.
Every time I work with someone, I give a piece of myself to them. And yesterday, the piece that I had given to Reckful died with him.
Now, in the wake of such devastating news, it's very easy to imagine a scenario in which mental health issues were shoved even further under the rug. But, fortunately, That's not what happened. Instead, more streaming personalities came forward, inspired by Reckful, to share their struggles, effectively starting a movement to destigmatize therapy and debunk the idea that needing mental health support is something to be ashamed of. And Dr. K was more than happy to provide a platform to help spread that message.
So like my brother and I like to joke, he's my younger brother. I'm like the beta product and he's like the final product. My brother had no issues. Like he went to like an engineering college. He's great. He's fine. He's super healthy.
And how are you?
Me?
Right, like sadness is not an identity. Cowardly is an identity. You see that?
Yeah.
If you don't understand something in a relationship, maybe try asking the other person.
I have never tried that once, ever.
And therein lies, I think, a major piece of social conditioning that you probably never saw at home.
In just a few short years, Dr. K had emerged from obscurity to become an institution on Twitch. He wasn't just helping streamers, he'd become one himself. And, of course, that meant that, just like his subjects, he would occasionally get memed on by his audience.
Okay, Dr. K gets into a heated argument that pokes a hole in this. Usually my experience with people who are super into logic is that if their logic is incorrect, they get really, really angry, and then they just can't see that their logic is wrong. It doesn't change. The two are completely unrelated. Like how the just look at that. It's absurd. Think about it. Even now, the way that when you get mad at yourself, you don't know what the you're talking about. Sounds like you were just a loser.
Memes aside, Dr. K's involvement with gamers has extended even beyond Twitch as of late. As someone who's immersed in the streaming sphere, it was only a matter of time before he crossed paths with esports. And so after a year of working with Evil Genius's Dota 2 roster, who, let's be honest, have often choked at big tournaments, Dr. K was invited to accompany the team to TI-10 as their performance and mental health coach.
And I've been in tense situations. Like I've been in, boardrooms where people are like arguing and like CEOs are about to get fired and like super awkward stuff, right? Like very challenging things like being yelled at in the emergency room when someone who's like rich and powerful is going to sue you because, their son relapsed again or whatever. Like there have been a lot of stressful situations I've been in, but like TI is just a whole different experience. It is hands down the most stressful experience of my life.
For working with Dr. K now, like we have a lot of emphasis on making sure everyone is in their best state. And for Tal, like one of his best attributes is that he's good at making people get in the state of like energy, basically, right? So yeah, there was a lot of yelling, a lot of swearing. I'm pretty sure it wasn't, not for true sight. So good thing it was first round, But yeah, I mean, it helps everyone to get in a good mood and like get that energy going. So yeah, that was nice.
In the end, EG took a pretty early exit from the competition once the main event was underway. But as disappointing as that may seem, the important thing is that they took control of their circumstances and tried something new, which is basically the entire point of therapy, performance-centric or otherwise. And it illustrates why what Dr. K is doing is so crucial.
In life, like it's okay to be disappointed in what you do. It's okay to be like not happy with your performance, but be careful and remember that just because you're not happy or it's okay to be disappointed in like the most recent thing doesn't mean that you don't deserve to feel some amount of pride in like what you've done prior to that day.
To some, his approach may seem strange and indeed unprecedented. But you have to remember that we live in unprecedented times. Just a few short years ago, an esports psychologist wasn't even a thing that existed. Teams had to just deal with their issues the best they could and hope it all worked itself out, even when the root causes of those issues were textbook psychology classics, like a lack of motivation or communication problems between team members. And as for difficulties that gamers and streamers face, it is still a field so massively underrepresented through traditional mental health support avenues that you'd be pretty hard-pressed to find specialized help even if you sought it out.
A lot of people kind of in the, in the baby boomer generation and stuff, they'll blame millennials and Gen Zers, but I don't think they understand that like it's just a fundamentally different world that we live in. So started streaming to try to support these people, because when these people would go to see mental health professionals, like they'd get diagnosed with depression, started on a medication, and sent home. But that sort of doesn't work.
So what do you do when you're dealing with something that no generation ever before has dealt with? Well, and forgive the petty analogy, like any gamer struggling to overcome a boss, you might look up a walkthrough. And for an entire swath of the population out there, Dr. K and his streams are a way to do just that. Except with serious, real-life shit that starts to become approachable the second you open up about it.
Anita, how have you been?
I've been alright, yeah. Busy, but getting more sleep and taking a little bit more care of myself than I used to, so that's great.
I'm really happy to hear that. Seriously, I think you deserve to take care of yourself. You deserve to be cared for by yourself.
At the end of the day, we are all human, and we can all use a little bit of help sometimes. Regardless of the size of the spotlight that shines upon us, we all face challenges in life, and we all react to them differently. And while some of us may still not be willing to talk about our struggles to people we've never met, thanks to the efforts of Dr. K, the conversation surrounding mental health on Twitch is starting to become normal. And I think that that's something that we can all get behind.
And what we really found at HG is that community is a huge aspect of getting your life together. So there's sort of this idea that, you know, self-help and like you can like read a book and you're kind of like working kind of on your own to fix things. But in my experience of putting my own life together, community was a huge part of it. So that's why, you know, when I went to India and started like learning meditation and eventually decided to become a monk, a huge part of that was that I was with a group of people who were going through similar things.
You know, and that community aspect isn't just like a Twitch thing for me, it's a life thing. You know, just be good to everyone and then hopefully it all makes the world a better place.
Yeah, man.
Like his first shoot or something.
I don't know what you're saying, Matt. Say it again. Say it slower.
It's like your first shoot or something.
My first shooter. I thought you were saying my first Sheila, and I was like, wrong continent, Matt. Like I don't like. You're not Australian, homie. You cheeky sod. You cheeky sod.